How to make your teacher like you. Everyone wants to make a good impression with teachers, and it doesn't need to be complicated or mysterious. You can learn what teachers expect of your behavior, so you'll be able to behave, succeed, and have a likable presence in class. Part 1: Being likable. 1. Put yourself in your teacher's shoes. If you were sitting at the front of a big group of ornery, restless, loud students for 8 hours a day, every day of the week, how would you feel? You'd probably want your students to quiet down and do their work, too. Try to imagine how your teacher must feel on a daily basis to give you some clues on how to act, if you want your teacher to like you. Try to take it easy on your teacher. Don't make your teacher have to work harder than they already have to. Every time you have an excuse or a favor or a request you have to make for your teacher, that's more work for them. Give them less to do. 2. Read your teacher's personality. There's no one way to please all your teachers, since all your teachers will be completely different people. Some will be kind, easy, going, and warm, while others will seem like stern, old, school taskmasters. Try to get a read on who your teacher is, what they like, and what makes them tick, to learn more. If your teacher is stern, sucking up won't do you much good. Focus on your work, putting your head down, and doing what's expected, not in being a big presence in class. If your teacher is kind of warm, they'll likely more appreciate the talkers in class. If you want the teacher to like you, open up and talk a bit more and have a short conversation with the teacher if necessary, as well as doing your work as well as you can. 3. Know when to ease off. Contrary to what you might think, teachers don't like brown noses, suck-ups, or annoying tales. The person in your class you think is the teacher's pet according to the students is probably not most teachers' favorite student. Keep that in mind. It's not necessary to be the most talkative, or to ask more questions than everyone else. Just make sure that you contribute sometimes, and that you keep the classroom positive. 4. Be creative. If you want to go the extra mile, it's helpful to have a creative spin to put on your work to help yourself stand out from the rest of the students and interesting, creative, and likable. Think of creative projects when you get projects, or do your in-class work in different ways than everyone else. Try to hard and do more than the minimum. Imagine this: your teacher has to sit down and grade 20, 50, even a couple hundred papers at night. How boring if they're all exactly the same. But if you can inject a bit of your own personality and creativity into your work, as long as you follow instructions and do the work you're supposed to do, most teachers will like that. 5. Speak your mind. Be honest when you're in school. As you get older and go through school, teachers will respect students who learn to think for themselves, not students who just repeat what they've heard. If you display, at any age, that you're a creative, independent thinker, that'll be something to respect. Speaking your mind doesn't mean being a troublemaker in class. If you don't want to do the homework because it's boring, that's not going to win you any points. 6. Thank your teacher for what they do. At some point in your time as a student, you should pick a teacher that you especially like and say, "Thank you." It's hard work being a teacher, and they'll appreciate your appreciation. In some cases, small gifts can be appropriate ways of saying thanks, but some teachers might take offense if the gift seems overly elaborate, expensive, or fancy. Gifts should not seem like bribes. In some cultures, it's appropriate and quite common to invite your teacher to dinner with your family. Extending an invitation can be a polite way of saying thanks. Part 2: Behaving in class. 1. Pay attention in class. The single best way to get any teacher to look on you favorably is to pay attention in class. The more you pay attention and listen closely, the easier it will be for you to settle down when you're supposed to, and do your best work possible. If you struggle to pay attention in class, talk to your parents and your teacher to let them know. It's possible you may not being challenged enough, or might have some behavioral problems that need help so you can do your best. Even though it's fun to sit next to your friends, try to hang out with them at recess, on the bus, and during passing periods. It might be better to sit away from them in class, to avoid the temptation to fool around. You might miss important things. 2. Follow your teacher's instructions. When you're in school, you need to do what you're supposed to do as quickly and quietly as possible. If it's time to put away your things and go to lunch, that doesn't mean it's time to joke with your neighbor and stick your gum under the desk. Listen and follow instructions. Follow your teacher's instructions when you're not in the classroom as well. If you have to read a chapter from a book for class tomorrow, do it. Don't skip assignments and think the teacher will like you because you're friendly. Just do your work. 3. Be respectful. It's very important that you be respectful and kind to not only your teacher, but to everyone else in class as well. Treat the other people in your class like you would want to be treated at all times. Don't talk in class when it's not the right time. Teachers will not be happy at improper interruptions. Some kids think pushing the teacher's buttons is a good way of getting other kids to like them, but this is disrespectful to everyone, especially the teacher. 4. Contribute to class in a positive way. When you're in class, you need to do more than just sit silently and pay attention. Often, your teacher will ask for volunteers, or ask questions of the group, and it's important to speak up at appropriate times. Work hard to make the class environment positive. Work in small groups politely. When it's time to break into groups, do your part in the group to help the task along, not make trouble, interrupt, or just sit and wait for the other students to do your work for you. If you see other students around you acting up or talking, you don't need to make a big deal of it, but you can also help keeping class moving forward by putting your nose down and doing the work. Don't let yourself get distracted. 5. Keep your space neat. Take pride in keeping your desk, locker, coat space in the coat closet, and whatever other space you've got in the classroom and orderly and clean as possible. Your teacher isn't your parent, and shouldn't have to clean up after you on a regular basis. There's no better way to make your teacher not like you than to make a big mess in the classroom. Part 3. Doing well in school. 1. Finish your assignments on time. During class, focus and do your in-class assignments as best as possible, follow instructions that you've been given, and turn in your work. Getting your teacher happy doesn't need to be much more complicated than that. When you get homework assignments, save enough time to finish them efficiently. A good way to tick off your teacher is doing your homework last minute, right before you turn it in. Never, under any circumstances, should you cheat or copy answers from someone in your class. That's a good way to get in trouble. 2. Join the class discussion. Teachers like a student who joins in when it's time, and not just sits in the back of the room, head down. Ask intelligent or meaningful questions. Show you are listening while your teacher is talking. Often, if you have a question, a bunch of other students will have the same question, they're just too afraid to ask it. Being willing to ask questions will help to make your teacher like you. 3. Be yourself. This should be an easy one. When you go to class and interact with your teacher, try to put yourself at ease and just be yourself. If you try to pretend to be someone you're not, your teacher will be able to tell. Don't just try to be a teacher's pet, a know-it-all or too cool for school. Just be you. Teachers are like anyone else, they like people to be genuine, kind, and real. Don't mistake yourself into thinking that you need to be a certain way to get teachers to like you. Just don't act up to get attention, and you'll be liked by teachers. 4. Try to do your best work. Try hard in school and only turn in your best work. If teachers think that you're capable of more in class, they'll be unhappy if you're not trying hard. Don't mail it in. Really set aside enough time to get your work done at a high level. Go the extra mile on homework assignments. If you're struggling in class, tell your teacher that you want to do better, and ask for help. At lots of schools, there are after-school homework groups, study sessions, and other ways that you can get extra work done if you make the effort. Teachers respect effort. Tips. Don't let yourself get blamed, but don't deny the truth. Honesty is really the best policy. Also make sure the teacher knows that you are out there. Don't be the quietest person. But don't be the loudest either. Don't be disrespectful to your teacher, treat them as if he or she is your father or mother. Don't overdo it all of a sudden. They might think you're up to something. They may realize you don't really mean it, and see through you. If you have a problem with the teacher, discuss it after class. Talk to your parents and maybe have a conference to work out the problems together. Always show that what the teacher says is important. Never laugh at your teacher or correct her mistakes. Try to refrain from cursing and bad language, especially around teachers. They might view you as someone untrustworthy. Contribute to class discussions. Be the kind of person who likes to ask questions but not fool around.